All right, well, welcome back to Bill Plays Bass, the 837th most popular bass channel in all of Uruguay. So today we're going to talk a little bit about technique. So this is just a staccato technique, so you don't have to do synth stuff like, you don't have to try to imitate a bass synth, but it's one way that you can do it. So one of the ways that bass synths sound different is they don't sound like basses. They have different attacks. So what we're going to look at today is just a thumb and forefinger kind of thing. And the idea is that you're going to play notes, basically you're always going to double the notes for the most part. You're not just going to go, it's back and forth. And you can do it with your fingers, but it's really kind of hard. Whereas this, you're kind of forcing your thumb and your finger against each other, and and the idea is just that you can get a different kind of attack, and you can also really cut off the notes in a way that palm muting or using your fingers doesn't work. So, like another example. And again, it's really just trying to choke off the notes. And for me, at least, the easiest thing to do is the thumb and an index finger. I mean, I guess you could use your ring finger or something. But anyhow, it's very natural once you get used to it. I will tell you, the bass I'm using, this is an 85 Ibanez RB760. It's a Roadstar 2. I'm just using this pickup here, and even though it looks like some weird giant humbucker, it's actually a weird giant precision bass pickup. So there's just coils here and coils there. So just think of this as a giant precision bass. One thing that's kind of weird, I just picked up one I had laying around that was closest. This one's got flats on it. Flats are a little more convincing on the bass synth thing because you don't hear the brightness of the round sounds coming through. Plus, the string noise is at a real minimum. So I will say I am playing through a Boss GT-10B, and we'll go over. I do have some effects on to try to make this a little more synthy sounding, but we'll go over that here in a minute. But I will say this, these strings are actually, strangely enough, giving me a blister on my thumb. I think I'm using a little too much of the side of my thumb. But you can do some cool stuff with this, So there, instead of playing all the notes, I'm actually using those ghost notes in there. As opposed to when you're trying to, whether you're trying to emulate a synth, if you've ever tried like a guitar to MIDI, bass to MIDI, a lot of it is more about like how you play than the sound. And what's really funny is with bass synths, you can, and a guitar synth playing bass sound, you can never get that staccato sound. It doesn't track right. So there's a lot just in kind of the technique. It's like if you try to play a sax solo on a guitar synth, unless you play saxy stuff, it doesn't work out. If you're just playing minor pentatonic all day or power chords, it's not going to sound like a sax. That's kind of what we're going for here. Again, you can do other stuff with this. You can actually kind of emulate like a tremolo. And I mean like, tremolo effect. So And then there's other, sort of, bass synthy stuff. So obviously in the mix, that'll be fairly convincing. I mean, if it's way better than just trying to play it kind of straight out. So one, I'll talk quickly about what I'm doing effects-wise to make this try to sound a little synthy. And then two, we'll take the effects off and we'll just kind of show you without the effects what stuff sounds like. So this patch has got a lot going on. So as with almost every good synth patch, believe it or not, is distortion. Yeah. So there's a lot of distortion going on. There's some compression. There is a chorus. And then something that's just kind of not right, that is hard to describe. This has I believe it's called slow drive for the effect. But basically, it'll just kind of swell the notes in a little bit. So it takes some of the initial attack out of the note. And it's good for like, I don't know, kind of fretless sounding things. Or it's just one of those things that, unless you've got one of these, there aren't probably too many other things that kind of recreate that weird kind of sound. But anyhow, all that combined, makes for some fairly convincing sounds. With all good synth sounds, a lot of them have distortion. Usually have kind of instead of a chorus, it's a detune effect. You have oscillators that are just slightly pitched differently so that it's sort of a chorus made in a different way. But anyhow, let's go to another patch here, if I can. Which actually, I gotta get this out of edit mode. And then here we go. This is more of a normal patch here, so a clean patch with no effects on it that I can see or hear. So, that same kind of thing. One of the things, if you're trying to play synth lines, is synth lines almost always have that real hard driving accent on the first note. So you're usually not playing like, let's try to think of playing this in a way that, you're not gonna. Now I'm overemphasizing that, but basically that downbeat. So the technique lends itself to that really well because you're basically playing all the accents on your thumb. So it makes perfect sense. But yeah, so it's just another technique that I don't see a lot of people use. Like I said, it's useful to try to emulate a synth bass, but it's just good in general to do wacky stuff with, like a... It's kind of a pizzicato sound, like if you were playing a cello or something. But yeah, so there it is. Hopefully you've found this useful. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with another video.